Orange County is again emerging as a fierce political battleground. In 2018, Democrats snatched 4 congressional seats from Republicans there, turning the delegation completely blue. But last year, Republicans took 2 of them back. Now, both parties are focusing on winning here next year, a microcosm of the nationwide battle for control of the U.S. House. Our Em Nguyen traveled the county to take a closer look in this part 1 of her series, Battleground, California, Orange County.
Orange County is emerging as a fierce political battleground. I'm Em Nguyen here in some contentious districts to see what it takes to hold on to these seats.
So how many cities have so far contributed?
Representative Young Kim meets with the Fullerton police chief to discuss using this space for a program to combat crime and homelessness. One of her several local projects she's asked Congress to fund in her first year in office. Kim ran in 2018 and lost. She ran again last year and won by about 4,000 votes.
Even though it was devastating loss in 2018 because of the small margin, I didn't give up because I knew with the right message and staying connected and being grounded in the communities, I know I can get to the hearts of the people, not just the voters, but the constituents and the residents.
Kim is one of 4 Republican congressional candidates in California who unseated incumbent Democrats last year. 2 of those candidates, including Kim, won right here in Orange County. Their victories marked a stunning reversal for Democrats, who had been steadily making inroads in the county after decades of Republican domination.
While the Democrats may have a little bit of a registration advantage, I don't think the county has changed much. We just need to make sure that there are more of us out there talking about what we believe in, our conservative values.
Since her upset victory, Kim has followed a careful strategy designed to appeal to swing voters. Hours after the January 6 riot at the Capitol, she was the only California Republican to certify Joe Biden's election as president. She joined the Problem Solvers Caucus, a bipartisan group that seeks common ground on key policy issues. And she sponsored bills that won enough Democratic support to pass the House.
You know, for me, representing a purple district like the 39th, where we have 1/3 Asians, 1/3 Hispanic, 1/3 Caucasians, they're looking for someone who is independent and who can bring across the board, leadership that doesn't always stick to far right, far left, someone who works on the policies because it's the right thing to do, and that will bring results for this district.
Representative Mike Levin of Carlsbad is following a similar bipartisan playbook as a Democrat.
Okay, excellent.
He won election in the blue wave in 2018 and held on last year.
Well, having grown up in South Orange County, I was really excited when in 2018 all 7 representatives from Orange County were all Democrats. It was the first time that's ever happened. Now we still have a lot of work to do.
As a sign of his strategy, half of the bills he's introduced this year would help veterans, an issue that enjoys bipartisan support. He also avoids focusing on former President Donald Trump, but he has his work cut out for him. The National Republican Congressional Committee is making Levin a top target next year.
I intend to make a difference for this community, and I can't worry about the former president, what he says, or what he writes. I have to focus on the residents of this district and what their needs and concerns are. That's what I've done. That's what I'll continue to do.
Republicans need to flip just 5 Democratic seats next year to retake control of the House. The ability of Kim and Levin to defend their seats could determine whether that happens, which means Orange County is once again going to be an intense political battleground.
In your politics on this Wednesday morning, in part 2 of our series on political battlegrounds right here in California, we look at 2 members of Congress betting that voters are going to reward them for being outspoken fighters. Our Em Nguyen traveled across Southern California to bring us this report on bold swing districts. Check it out.
Deep in the heart of Irvine, California, resides a congresswoman who's one of just 2 single mothers of young children, Representative Katie Porter. The congresswoman's dogged questions of witnesses representing big pharma and banks made her a viral sensation.
The drug didn't get any better. The cancer patients didn't get any better.
You just got better at making money.
Her whiteboard even got a nickname, the Mighty Whiteboard of Truth.
When I'm willing to take on a CEO, when I'm willing to take on a government official, whether that official was appointed by a Democratic president or a Republican president, I think people see that what I'm fighting for is effective government. And that is something that benefits all of us.
She's the first Democrat ever elected in the 45th district, winning office in the 2018 blue wave that swept across Orange County and the country. The new census shows her district is the fastest growing in the state.
So really my own story reflects why people come to Irvine. We do have a lot of growing population. That means that in the redistricting process, that'll be a nonpartisan redistricting process done by a citizens commission. We will see lines redrawn. And so I have an extra about 100,000 constituents. And while I love all of them, the Constitution requires us to redraw those lines and resize these districts.
It's not clear whether redistricting will make her district more competitive. But instead of keeping it safe and moderating her policies, Porter remains a bold, outspoken progressive Democrat.
Working hard marking up these bills.
By cutting a national profile, she's generated a cascade of political donations. Her campaign cash on hand account has $13 million, a huge sum for a Congress member not in leadership. She also doesn't take any money from corporate, Wall Street, or pharmaceutical companies, and has focused her work on family and education, earning points from constituents in both parties.
The person who's going to win is the person who's going to communicate honestly and in a trustworthy way with constituents. So it's really, really important that you reach out to people, that you let them know what you stand for, that you let them know that you're listening to them, and that you'll fight for them in Washington.
Across the aisle, another newcomer to Congress from California is charting an outspoken course too.
And there's the Santa Clarita Valley.
Republican Representative Mike Garcia, who served in Iraq as a Navy pilot, has been an outspoken critic of President Joe Biden and embraces former President Donald Trump.
The 25th District of California is a very purple district, which is actually emblematic of the entire country, right? A 50-50 split pretty much in terms of party allegiances, but also a district that values security, a district that values law enforcement, first responders, and our military. And so I ran, and I still do. I believe in the Constitution. I run on a loyalty to the Constitution above all things, not to a party.
Garcia says he happily voted for Trump last year and thinks Biden should resign because of the way troops were withdrawn from Afghanistan.
I would support President Trump if he ran again and he was the party nominee, yeah.
Both Garcia and Porter represent swing districts, so there are risks to being outspoken. Analysts say Garcia's support for Trump could be especially problematic given the former president's low approval ratings in the state. But these two lawmakers push ahead with their unwavering stances, betting that voters will reward them for their directness.
Bakersfield native House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy made a bold proclamation this year about his political future, saying he looked forward to being the Speaker come next year's midterms. That's under the presumption that the GOP will take back the House. He's thrown his support behind former President Trump and ousted top Republicans from leadership. However, his path to the speakership remains uncertain. Our Em Nguyen explains in this final part of her series, Battleground, California, Race for Speaker.
All right, you look good. Good job. Thank you.
The ambitions of the House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy are clear. He wants to be the next House Speaker if Republicans take control of the chamber in next year's elections, saying last month if Nancy Pelosi were to hand him the gavel, that, quote, it would be hard not to hit her with it.
Look, my focus is making sure America is put back on the right track. That will not be the case if Nancy Pelosi is continued to be Speaker, or the socialist movement of big government of what the Democrats have causing this inflation.
But McCarthy's goal is raising concerns from voters back home in California. This mother of two, who says she's in the American Independent Party, says she's not happy with McCarthy's voting record. This year alone, he opposed a COVID-19 spending bill, the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, and the creation of an independent commission to investigate the January 6th riot.
Why would he vote against things that would investigate something that happened and then also help people who are suffering from COVID, people who have lost jobs?
Sonny Hepburn is also concerned McCarthy would ignore the needs of his constituents if he became Speaker.
I don't think he would represent my voice. As you can see, I'm a black woman. But I really don't think he would represent my beliefs. I think if he became Speaker of the House, I think his interests might change. Maybe he might not have the time to invest it into this district.
I raised these concerns to McCarthy, who says, on the contrary.
Be able to be in a leadership position only makes the voices of the 23rd Congressional District stronger, to be heard, and actually to be successful in that as well. So it's only strengthened the district.
And some constituents agree.
Power, you can do more. The only one that's kind of above him is the president and vice president.
Former President Donald Trump could play a decisive role in whether McCarthy fulfills his aspirations. If Republicans regain the majority, Trump's endorsement could appoint McCarthy Speaker. Conversely, Trump's opposition could doom McCarthy. In January, McCarthy criticized Trump's role in the January 6th Capitol riot, saying Trump bore responsibility. Since then, McCarthy has defended Trump. When I asked about the former president, he avoided the name altogether.
The presidential race is not on the ballot in 2022. And what I'm most focused is on the amount of damage the Democrats have done. I think Republicans will win the majority based upon a contrast in ideas and the contrast of what the Democrats have done.
One thing McCarthy, who also served as the House Majority Leader from 2015 through 2019, is leaning on is this bit of history, where the party that wins the White House usually loses seats in Congress 2 years later. Democrats have called on McCarthy to apologize for the taunt against Pelosi about trying to hit her with a gavel if he became Speaker. Some have even called for his resignation, and that really just signifies the rising tensions between the two party leaders. I also reached out to Speaker Pelosi's office for a comment. She has yet to reply, but certainly moving into the future, only time will tell if McCarthy will indeed replace Pelosi in her role as Speaker, or if Pelosi will hold on to her post. Giselle.